Jay, let me ask you this because I want to know, throughout your time, and I know that your career has taken many paths, and you had many motions. There were times where you were vulnerable. So let me ask you this: during your career, when you had those moments where you felt discouraged, I know there were moments that you wanted to quit. You was unsure whether or not this was for you, and I know you had those moments. I mean, so how did you cope with those? Like, what are your mechanisms towards, pressing your way towards this?
That's a great question. I'm gonna give you
Thank
two. Um, the first thing with my daughter Tamika,
you.
you know,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I had to feed her. You know,
Mm.
I was raised. I had seven siblings
Wow. Mm.
in the house, so I I wasn't gonna be an uninvolved dad. I was gonna take care of my child.
Yes.
Secondly, and I'm a big hip hop fan,
Okay.
so another mechanism when I left Lorton, you're gonna hear some Tribe Called Quest cranking in the background in my car. You can hear some EPMD.
Mm-hmm.
Home. That's how I did it. I threw on that rap music, and DC is a go-go town, right?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I love go-go, but I started again. I started leaning more toward rap at that time, and that's how I did it because I never smoked, I never drank.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Plus, even to this day, I throw on my headphones and I throw on that music, and I'm good. So I'm gonna say my my daughter and rap music. That's
Okay.
coping mechanism.
Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. Now, on the other end, there were moments, of course, because you've been in law enforcement for all the time that you've been on, and obviously that that was that's a purpose that you were serving, right? Now, there was some areas of fulfillment that you had. There was times where, of course, where your career was rewarding, and so in that aspect, what were some of the things that, other than I understand about your daughter being your motivation, but there was some fulfillment on your job as well as pushback, but it was also some fulfillment there. And so, what was some of the areas of fulfillment that made you have all that staying power
Are you talking about in corrections or in the police department? I mean,
over in your career overall?
okay. I think my this is my mentality when I come to work. I think if all police officers had this one objective, this should be your main objective when you come to work, it would be a better system. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
my goal wasn't to arrest people.
Mm-hmm.
Goal was to help people.
Right.
Right. So, and I'm gonna tell you this. One day, a few weeks ago, my mother is 89 years old. 89 years old. I take her to church every Sunday. And when I walked in the church, this girl recognized me. And when she recognized me, she came up to me. I recognized her too. She came up to me, she hugged me, and she told my mother she thinks about me all the time. I hadn't seen her for years.
Mm.
About me all the time. And she really appreciated what I did for her.
Mm. What you do for her?
Well, let me okay.
Oh, okay.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, when I when I became a police officer, we had this area of DC. I was assigned to the 7th district, and we had this area. It was in the 900 block of Savannah Street, and it was a high prostitution area for
Okay.
drugs, crack,
Mm-hmm.
high prostitution area. And I really wanted to help these girls, and I understood the only way to help them is to get them in drill programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and what I did was I got to know them all personally. I treated them like they were ladies. I talked to them,
Mm-hmm.
tell them, I don't want, I don't like seeing you getting in other men's cars because all of y'all are my girlfriends and I get jealous. That's how I used to deal with them.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. That's good.
And this is the only way you can get them in trouble program. They used to always have warrants, right? And I used to arrest them on these warrants so I can get them to court, so the court could put
Mm,
programs. So it's been a lot of times, and I've been out and I done ran into these girls, and they with their husbands now, married with kids, and they
wow,
come up to me, they hug me, they introduce
wow,
me to their husbands, and this is one of them girls, right?
wow.
Well, she said, Jeff, it wasn't. She told my mother it wasn't for your son, because I was persistent too, and I knew them all by their names, right? And like I say, I treated them like they was all my women, not in.
Right.
I treated them like they were human,
Yes. I totally get it.
right? And I think, and I done had so many people come up to me, and it's just crazy. I done had a lot of people come up to me and tell me how I affected their lives, and that's something that people don't see.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of guy. I play the background. I'm not a braggadocious person. I'm laid back. I'm low key. But when I see this, and when these people come to me, it makes me feel. It makes me know I did good.
Wow, yes. And that alone right there, Jay, I really appreciate you sharing that because that is so amazing to me. And I really appreciate that. I think you on their behalf too, yeah, because I think that's so amazing. But okay, so also let me ask you, have you done traffic patrol?
Well, let me say this: in patrol, as a patrol officer, you can do traffic.
You
Like,
could do, but
uh,
have you?
yeah, I've done.
Okay, I'm asking for a reason because what I want us to get into, because I want to try to um I want you to kind of give some cliff notes on, and I'm going to put some different scenarios out there. And I know we can't like, you know, get into full details, but kind of give me some cliff note or the audience some cliff notes on how to handle it as a civilian and how to avoid, you know, it escalating further, right? So I'm going to put some scenarios out there, and you just let myself and the audience know in your expert advice on how to handle it. All
I'm not
right?
going to expert, but I will give advice.
Huh?
No, I'll say I'm not going to say I'm the expert, but I will give
Well,
advice.
no, you are. Don't downplay it. You are. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So someone traffic stop.
Mhm.
Because that's the most common thing you see a lot. That's all you see. A lot of escalations and other things happen just from a traffic stop. So you get stopped. What do you do? Go.
Okay, let me explain this to people so people will understand. And I think this is the most important thing to know about traffic stops and why a lot of things happen on traffic stops.
Mm-hmm.
Police officers are taught, and it's actually true. Traffic stops are one of the most dangerous things you can do as a police officer, because
Mm-hmm. I agree.
you're walking up to a car, you don't know what's in that car.
Mm-mm.
You don't know what this person had just done. He could have just killed somebody, robbed a bank.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got to realize the officer who's coming up to your car, he already has this in his mind, right? So I would say the best thing to do is to have both your hands where they can be seen. And a lot of times, not say this, it's not going to hurt you to be polite. Follow directions and follow directions. And if that, and if you do that, and this is another thing, make sure you memorize his name and badge number. And I think if you do these things, you will come out of a traffic stop a lot. But like I say, the main thing is you got to understand who approaching you. This person who approaching you don't know what you have in your car. He knows that this he's walking up to your car knowing his life could end, because you might have a weapon in that car and he can't see it. So, like I say, remain calm, keep both hands on the steering wheel, remember the badge number, his name, and follow instructions. Just be polite. And if something happens during that traffic stop that you don't like, maybe the way he talked to you or whatever, make a complaint.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my thing, stay calm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now let me ask you now. Because I know a lot of people feel like they're exercising their rights by asking, can I, um, can I ask, what the reason, that I'm being pulled over? Or do they have to tell you?
You're supposed to ask that, and they
Mhm.
supposed. I'm speaking in DC. We are supposed to answer that question. But let me say this: a lot of times, police officers won't answer that question because until they have everything in their hands and know everything is under control. So what they want you to do first, someone might say, "Give me your ID first," because they
Yeah,
right. And once they have your ID in their hand, it makes it safer for them because now they know who you are. So you're less likely to do something. Not saying you're not going to do anything. I'm saying you're less likely. So once you hand over your information to that officer, he more than likely going to tell you why he stopped you. But like I say, follow directions, give him your ID, and then ask him. And more than 9 times out of 10, unless he's an asshole, and we do have them, he's going to tell you because we are trained to tell you why we stopped you, and you should know that.
right.
Hmm?
Okay, thank you for that. Now, the next scenario, and you have a lot of this happen too. And I know it's kind of, I think it might be kind of tough, for you to kind of give like a, because this particular scenario is multi-layered here when it comes to domestic disputes. A lot of those going on. So let me just give one, um, where you have a person that call. It could be a man or woman that calls, police and, over domestic dispute, and it's so hard because it's always their word against, because they always tell you believe the woman first, and we all know better now. I think we should know by now that that's not always the case, right? But it's so hard to decipher, because you have, especially if you have a dispute where they're both the aggressors,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times, you have a lot of, men, especially that are provoked, or a lot of men who are aggressors that are not provoked. But bottom line, you have a person that calls the police over domestic dispute, and they say, "Oh, okay, well, we got into, me and my wife and I got into a disagreement, and I tried to leave. She wouldn't allow me to leave. She blocking the door, and I had to, just, physically just, you know, try to put it to to the side, and then it escalated from there, and she tells her side and saying, well, no, well, he was aggressive, he got physical with me, he pushed me down, and he did this and that to me, so it's like you have all, you have like, but two totally different narratives.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you meet in the middle?
Well, let me say this, right? You said police officers are taught that women are.
Believe the woman.
No, that's absolutely false.
It is okay.
Absolutely false.
Hmm.
When we go into a domestic dispute, we are neutral. Everything is based on the evidence, right? Everything is based on what you want to do is you want to separate both of the parties, right? You want to interview them separately.
Hmm.
Okay, if it's a witness in the house, a child, you want to interview that child in a separate room. And you got to make a good faith decision. And we protect it when it comes to domestic violence because I don't quote me on the years. At one time on the police department, domestic violence wasn't taken serious and people was dying. You know,
That's
you
still the case.
yeah, police officer leave after talking to both parties, and next thing you know, you get in the call and somebody is dead. So laws change. And he tell you this on the police department. There's two things can get you fired on the police department: domestic violence and people property. So
Right.
you better you gonna go in there. You're gonna go in there with good faith. You're gonna make the best decision you can make, and whatever the decision you made, as long as you made it in good faith, you're protected. Now I just can't give you a. You can't just give me a scenario because I have to see the full picture.
Yeah, yeah.
The young lady I have to talk to. There's so much involved in
It
it.
is. That's why it says multi-layered. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and this is another thing. When you sometimes it is hard to tell, right?
Yes.
And that's when you might want to call your supervisor and have them come on there over there, and we all gonna talk it out, and then we gonna make a decision. I mean, as the supervisor and the police officer. So it's not just cut and dry. But let me say this: in D.C., domestic violence is taken very seriously.
So let me ask you, I mean, and this is going to be something, and this is my last one because this one is going to be real touchy here because, is about, a racial divide here. And I just want to get your take on it because you see a lot of people within our community getting targeted.
Hmm?
And I try to avoid playing the race card, but it's hard, but because race is still a factor now. And I don't want to turn a blind eye to that because it's true. And
Especially,
so, I just want to ask you, Jay, in your perspective, when it comes to blacks still being, and we know that their whites are still being targeted. It's not put in the forefront as much.
mm-hmm.
We understand that there are whites that are, but more so blacks are more targeted. And I'm just wondering, because I know you've seen it. I've seen you seen it a lot, and I'm just wondering, how do you handle how do you handle those situations when you know, for yourself and you know firsthand that this black person is being targeted, and it's not warranted, or is excessive force being used, or there's certain ways to de-escalate a situation without it, you know, going to extremes. But why do you believe that there is still such a racial divide? Like, why are certain races still being targeted, and
Because
why? Yeah.
we got a lot of racism on the police department.
Yeah. And so how do you feel about that? I just want to get your perspective and how do you feel about it? Have you spoken up about it? And, you know, I'm just wondering, like, what is your perspective on that? Because it still seems like there's is a constant struggle there.
You got to know me. I'm the type of guy. It's not going to happen in my presence. It's not going to happen in my presence, and that's just how I am. And have I spoke up about it? Yeah, and I got receipts. I can let you speak to the officer who, who I came to her aid. So, and I'm gonna give you an example.
Okay.
I was My whole career was spent in, and I can't say this. I'm not gonna say this officer was being racist, but he was white, and he was talking about a black woman. But
Mm,
I actually saw him being racist is not the truth. But because of the way I am, the way I am, I'm going I'm going to do me. I'm about more than principles. So it was this young rookie officer, and she was new. She was having problems, because the police department. It's a lot. When you new, it can be overwhelming. It's a lot to learn. So this particular day, she was late for roll call.
mm,
When she was late for roll call, they called her name, and this was the white supervisors
mm.
called her name, and she wasn't in. She was in. Somebody said she's here, but she's in the locker room. Right. So when this white officer yelled out, she needs, she needs to quit anyway. So, and I got receipts.
Mm.
And me being a black man, hearing this white officer say this about a new black officer, it pissed me off. And this was lieutenants, white lieutenants, all this in roll call. And I turned around and looked at him and said, and I don't know if I can curse. He said she needs to quit. I turned around. I said, "Motherfucker, why don't you quit?"
Mm.
And I said, "If she," and then I went on, and like I say, it was lieutenants and all this stuff in there. And I proceeded to say some more choice words to him. And I said, instead of talking down, what we need to be doing is talking these young officers up.
Yes.
Right. And that's the way I am. So I'm not going to really, people know how I am. So when people know how you are, they're not going to do certain things in front of you.
Mm.
That's just, that's just it. White officers ain't going to do certain things in front of Jeff because they know
Right.
how Jeff is. And when I cussed him out, like I said, I cussed him out in front of lieutenants.
Mm.
Lieutenant said, Jeff is right. I just don't like the words he used. And I proceeded to cuss the dude out again. I didn't care.
Okay, well, thank you for that. You know, but okay. So before we
I
because you know, I don't. I'm sorry.
them on the police department because birds of a feather flock together.
Right.
They
I don't believe
come
that.
and do that in front of me because they know I am. And I also have other examples. So, oh, I'm always stand up. That's
Okay.
just who I'm as a him as a person.
Yeah. So you see what's going on. And I asked that for a reason. And we're gonna kind of shift a little bit after this one. Um, now, but I just feel like the conversation is important. I don't want to. I don't want this to be a dark conversation. I don't want to drag anybody down. But this is a conversation to be had. You're here.
Oh,
You know.
I'm ducking no smoke.
Yeah, so I really, this is very important here. So what I want to know, just based off of the whole racial divide thing that we were talking about, what I want to know, and I don't want to get into what's all of the stories that are trending right now because I've made some names already, but just overall, just based on the names I gave you, the Nolan Wells, Carmelo Anthony's, those scenarios in regards to the George Floyd's and the Eric Garner's and just a lot of all those things that's going on in the climate that we're in right now. Can you kind of piece it all together and give your overall perspective on you know on how these particular cases need to be? And I know it's different. I know it's hard to say because each case is different, but it seems like it's like a common denominator here to me. Because like I said, it goes back to targeting. Certain people.
I got to be absolutely transparent with you. I don't know the specifics of the case because let me say this about me. When I left the police department 3 years ago,
Okay.
I turned the TV off. Right.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
I don't like the way TV is called programming for a reason.
Mhm, mhm.
They put it program TV program you to see the worst in black people.
Yeah.
We feel. So I kind of like turned the TV off. And I don't really know too much about the Nolan Wells case. I do know there was a dispute about it was raining. He kept the tent. Um, a verbal altercation. A verbal altercation. Okay, and I'm gonna say this for full transparency, and this me not knowing the case, I would have to research it and come back and give you my honest opinion. But I
Sure.
know you don't bring a knife to a fist fight, and that's just me being totally honest with you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah.
I,
And oh, I'm
got,
sorry.
I don't know if he got jumped because I know it's a dispute with he got jumped. If it was a one-on-one fight, it's a lot of different. Unless a
It
lot
is.
information out there, so I don't know. But if it was, let me say this: if it was a one-on-one fight,
Hmm.
you don't bring a knife to a one-on-one fist fight.
I agree. I agree. And one more thing, and I don't know, are you familiar with he's a big content creator right now, and he also was a police officer here, Officer Tatum.
I don't listen to that fool.
I was like, I was going to ask your opinion about him.
But
I was like, okay. I was going to ask.
I don't listen to that clown. When I see clown, I turn to TV. He's a clown to me.
Really? Yeah, I was just about to ask you about
I
that.
was
Like,
a police officer 6 months, 1 year. I mean, I don't know. I did 25. So, I mean, he didn't have the heart to finish. I mean, I don't think
that's
he.
how long. Wait, that's how long he was on.
I was on police department for 25 years.
No, it's about Officer Tatum. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. I retired a police officer. That's what I'm saying. I don't know too much about that clown. I know he's a clown. I only have to watch you for 5 minutes to know, what that.
yes, I was going to ask you. Like the reason why I asked is like, have you listened to his perspective on certain things, like his content and and his
No, he's
way of thinking?
brought and paid for allegedly.
Ah, okay. Duly noted. Okay. I was just curious about that one. Yeah, and because I wanted to get your take on like
I,
some of the things he says.
I don't follow him.